All right. So a topic that was already mentioned this morning, and it's, of course, going to come up again and again as we all head towards the future of electric mobility, is scaling. And our keynote speaker right now is going to be giving us some insights on European infrastructure scaling. So we'll be hearing from the head of business development at BeCharge, which, as many of you know, developed one of the leading charging networks in the industry in Italy. But now the company is aiming to build one of the largest high-powered charging networks in Europe, right? So going from national to a European-wide operation. And hopefully he'll share some insights on how to manage that scale up from a national leader to an EU-relevant player. So I'm sure everybody will be very interested to hear more about that. So ladies and gentlemen, let's have a warm welcome for Roberto Colicchio. Hi.
Maria. Good afternoon, everybody. Very happy to be here. First of all, I would like to thank Abject to create this wonderful atmosphere. It's always nice to have connections. Even with the rain, there is more possibility to be close each other. I'm Roberto Colicchio. I'm in BeCharge since 2017. Today, I will try to let you understand what Marianne said. So what we feel is critical for players like us to transforming from a national player to infrastructure scaling at European level. That's very challenging, exciting, and there are topics that I'm sure all of you already knows, but maybe put together can give some learning and interaction. Hopefully there will be also time for questions at the end. Give me just the possibility to speak a few minutes about ourselves. I don't want to make an auto promotion, but to let you understand how we moved. It's important that you know our story. Probably some of you already knows us, but it's good to start about ourselves. So we are the e-mobility operator of the Anyplenitude group. So we are part of a much larger strategy that is energy transition of a big player like Eni. So BeCharge is 100% focused on e-mobility within these big umbrellas that have inside many activities that are synergic, but also looking at the future in a holistic way. As BeCharge, we have been always integrated. What does integrated in the value chain means for us? Being a leading player, or at least a relevant player, in all the part of the value chain. You recognize CPO and MSP. For us, there is a difference between CPO and CSO. CSO stands for Charging Station Owner, and we are both of that. So the network we are deploying, it's our own, but we manage ourselves as a CPO, and we also look at the MSP side. And we look at these three soul of our company independently, but synergic each other. That's very important to focus, because it's something that I will repeat later when I will try to generalize rather to our story. So we have experienced a big growth, very big growth and very fast growth. We started as a startup in 2017, and you see the growth becomes doubling the number of charging stations, own charging station installed base. Today we stand around 17,000 that are already installed not just in Italy, but in 7 European countries. We are serving 12 European countries, as I said. In some of them are just installed, in some other are under construction. We look very much at the app. So we are reaching already almost 500,000 of downloads. That doesn't mean customers, but today, in our opinion, it's important also to attract future customers. So we are trying with our marketing colleagues to increase also the number of downloads of people that doesn't maybe have already an e-mobility car, but they would like to. So they're looking around. We try to make some education to them. In some cases, we try to touch their feeling for the future. So the growth has been very, very fast, as I said. We started, of course, our roots are in Italy. You can hear from my accent. But we have very quickly moved to all the countries you see in the map. So more or less, we covered the southern Mediterranean area and plus what we call Alps, so Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. We have also some small presence in Eastern European markets, I would say in an opportunistic way. So we are just following those countries if a partner that we have in the other countries asks for us. In all these countries, the strategy is quite similar, but as I will explain later, the go-to-market strategy should differ country by country because the markets are different, the competition is different, the customers are different, so not everything should be unified, but I will explain you better later. So these are the countries. We are all Europeans, or most of us, or whoever is working here loves Europe. So Europe is wonderful, as we all know. You can see the Duomo, Paris, Mykonos, and other nice places around Europe. But now I would like to focus more on what I would like to interchange with you. So how is possible to manage the scale up from a national leader to an EU relevant player? Is not an easy task. It's very challenging. As I said, it's exciting. There are always rocks in the path that you reach. But maybe we can talk hours about that. But I've tried to summarize some general concepts to see, in my opinion, in our opinion, this has been a team group, this presentation, so I've tried to collect information also from other colleagues of the team. Just for your information, I take care of business development, so I'm more in the commercial strategy part. But for knowing really the company, you need to speak and collect ideas from people from operation, from engineering, from marketing, from IT, because I mean, you can be successful only if you work as an organization. So I have these 4 points that I will speak one by one, that in our opinion are the critical points that permit possible to scale up internationally in infrastructure for e-mobility. So this is quite obvious, but it's important always to repeat that you need to have a clear strategy in mind from the beginning. I know strategy sometimes is very high, is very far from the operation. But if everybody in the company works with a clear strategy in mind from the beginning, when going internationally, this, in our opinion, helps the success of the company. A clear strategy, in our case, has been always to have a long-term view, meaning that, of course, you are targeting profitability, but you know that the profitability will come in the medium-long term. So you cannot avoid decisions today because they are not performing tomorrow. That's important because even when you choose a supplier for maintenance or a supplier for the marketing team, you need to have in mind that you are investing today in e-mobility. So we have always been the long-term view in our mind. The integrated player is again, a key topic for us. So we look at the 3 sold independently, and we know that MSP have the benefits of being also a CPO and vice versa. And this is important in the whole next of the company. As an MSP, we have always had the idea of having a single app. This is always, again, quite obvious, but it's not always the case and from what we have seen in the market. So that should be very clear from the beginning. So all the decisions that you take at the second level after strategy have this, I would say, paradigm in mind. When you go a bit more in operations, having in mind the strategy, we have tried always to be driven by data. Of course, data are very tricky because if you just count on data, you can make wrong decisions. But if you don't count on data, for sure you take wrong decisions. So you need to find the right balance between the data that are still poor, because we are working in a market that is not yet mature, but in all the operational activities of the company, we have tried with a big data group in the company to be driven at operational level with data. I've given here just a few examples on how we use data and how we feel an integrated player in mobility should have. First, of course, location selection. And this is maybe the most tricky part, because when you use data to select a location, you are looking at the present, but you should look also at the future. And the data you gather from the future are just estimates. So you need to find the right balance of the data you collect and the feelings that you have, the knowledge of the market. It's important to have the knowledge. Predictive maintenance is something that we are starting to experience. I mean, our installed base, in some cases, have 3, 4, 5 years of story. I mean, it's not a long journey, but we are trying to make models on how to make maintenance predictive. And we do this in synergy with our main suppliers of infrastructure, of course. Organization, I mean, it sounds strange, but to build up a nice and balanced organization, you need to decide how many people you need to put where. You need to look also at the data, meaning data of hours work, data of failure, data of everything, to understand and take the right decisions in putting more people in operation, in sales, or in IT. That's important. Customer care, it's something maybe where we are a bit behind, but we feel that we need to use more data to let the customer happy. The customer for us are both the final customers and MSP when we act as a CPO. Again, this is maybe our obvious concepts, but when you put all together, in our case, makes the difference. The local approach maybe it's something that we have thought about. What does it mean, local? Maybe it's already an old-fashioned word, but in our opinion, means to have some activities that are handled centrally, meaning centrally not just in the quarter, but at a unified way, and some others that should be done locally, meaning at country level. Again, we are in 12 European countries, let's say 9 without the opportunistic one, and we need to understand what should be done unified cross-country and what could differ country by country. Of course, in our opinion, these 3 things should be done locally. Of course, pricing is not just the cost of energy that differs between Italy, Slovenia, and Germany, but it's also the customer behavior, the competition, the approach to the charging. Maybe in some countries, the chargers are more in the urban areas, some others in extra-urban areas. So pricing, in our opinion, and it's quite obvious also this, it should be different. Go-to-market strategy, this is very important. I mean, we cannot have a unified go-to-market in each of the country, because each country has a different story, a different competition. In some cases, maybe you arrive a bit late, so you need to adapt. In some other case, you put more DC, in some other more AC, in some others you go to municipalities, in some others you go to supermarkets, in some other you go into your own retail station. So the go-to-market strategy really, with the strategy in mind that is unified, the go-to-market differs country by country. Marketing, again, this is very local. Of course, we have our image that is unified throughout Europe, but marketing, so which fairs, how is calling the app, which are the discounts, should be done at local level. This instead should be done at central level, meaning if you find a supplier, some suppliers could be local, but try to have unified suppliers throughout the countries. The brand is one, so you need to invest in brand communication throughout the countries, but you have to have one image, one language between you and the customers. And customer experience, again, you should try to have the best customer experience regardless of the country with the same approach. What is in the middle, of course, is organization. So some people should look locally. So we have people of BD, of engineering that are in each of the country. We have people from IT, for example, or some of the operations or finance that are at central level. That's That's important. So you should always find a balance between global decisions and local decisions and organization. Customer centricity. Okay, I mean, customer centricity is quite, I mean, could be everything. In our, just if I need to give you a very quick flavor, for us, customer centricity means that even when you, when the finance team should pay an invoice to an MSP, or vice versa, should pay an invoice to the CPO, they should always have in mind that behind that behavior, normal operational behavior, there is the customer at the end. So everything, all the organization should have in mind that even if we wouldn't be integrated, and again, even if we are integrated, we always like to speak and cooperate with partners that maybe are vertical in one of the activity we do. So having in mind customer at all levels of the organization, in our opinion, give you the possibility to become successful in Italy, where our roots are, but also in Portugal, that have a completely different regulation and a completely different market. That's something everybody should have in mind, because even if everybody think about that, acting, it's a completely different story. I mean, I've spoken up to now about, I would say, nice things, exciting opportunities, but of course there are challenges. If you go internationally, it's not that just, if you go in 5 countries, it's not just the complexity of 1 multiplied by 5, but is multiplied by a factor of 5, because it creates entropy in any case to add a lot of countries in parallel. So you need to be focused on challenges that in some cases are cross-country, but you should try to anticipate them if possible. Which are the challenges, in our opinion, that are present more or less everywhere in Europe? These are the 3 challenges we have tried to summarize. These are the maybe big topics. If you go into the details, maybe the lines will become 100 or 200, but regulation is always a challenge. In some case, the regulation is made to help us. And in some cases, really helps. Regulation could give you opportunities, could open new markets, but it should be approached in the right way. And in some cases, the regulation just doesn't help, but just give you burdens. So by looking at more countries in parallel, maybe you can learn or anticipate which regulation could come in another, because at least in Europe, countries speak each other. Some things is deriving from Europe. In this case, for example, Germany has been, let's say, copied or emulated by other countries. So by being in Germany, we can anticipate what could happen in Slovenia in 3 years or in Italy next year. So try to anticipate regulation. DSO interaction maybe is the biggest challenge we have faced, and I think we are in good company with the other CPOs. When we decided to go over the Alps, we were thinking that I mean, the big problems were just in our country, and we were smiling. Oh, how above the Alps, maybe everything is nice, everything is wonderful, everything is easy. We have discovered that that's not the case, and we are. Where are my friends of NL? I mean, I've blamed them for many years when I was just in Italy because they were slow, but that's not the case. Everybody is slow, but that's not just the fault of the DSOs. It's the regulation that interacts with the DSO that create things more complicated than they are. So by learning on how we have solved problems maybe in one country, but maybe in one city, you can try to interact in the same way with the DSO in Switzerland. I mean, maybe you know that in Switzerland there are hundreds of DSOs, even if the country is small, and you need to have different languages with them. So the DSO interaction is a big challenge, but you can learn from the experience you had in other countries or at the local level. Market changes for us meaning the business market changes. Business market changes could be cross the value chain, and again, not easy to anticipate them. But if you have in mind what has happened in one country, maybe you can adapt or also teach your suppliers, your customers, the regulation, because the good things of this sector is today regulators hear a lot about what CPOs, MSP, object, players like object can say. So we should take this opportunity altogether to favor the market in our opinion. So these, in our opinion, are the big challenges. I would like to speak the last minute that I have about maybe a meta concept that could be spoken in challenges, but for us is above everything. And I'm speaking today here at Object that have made a tremendous job in connecting us each other's all, CPO, MSP, suppliers, startups, innovation. And I think this is a wonderful thing about the European ecosystem of e-mobility. Maybe I've worked also in other sectors, and I haven't seen this kind of interaction and cooperation between competitors. Sometimes, and I'm saying not very loud, I feel more sympathetic with my competitors than with my colleagues. I'm joking, guys, but that's to mean that we are in an ecosystem where everybody interact. It's the merits. It's of all of us. Object make the big role, but there is a point that we all have to see that is a challenge and could be a problem in the future. That is data quality. What does data quality mean? A lot of things again, but in our sector especially means that CPO and MSP through Object, direct, whatever, should give each other good data and updated data. Otherwise, and there are people that manage data as their main job. Otherwise, the obvious outbound is customer satisfaction. So I've put this in the challenges. But for me and for the company for which I work is a meta concept above everything, because if there is no data quality inside the company and between us, it will be difficult to grow up the markets like we would like to. So I would like to thank you everybody for the hearing, for the presence, and I'm here to talk about. To hear questions, and thank you very much. Grazie.
Yeah, Roberto, thank you very much indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, we will do both the raising of the hands questions and also some via the app. So I already see a person with their hand up. We have a colleague heading over the mic.
Hi.
Should be on. Just speak. Just try.
I don't know. Oh, no. It works.
Sounds good.
So I'm Rafael from OMV. One question you mentioned on the clear strategy at the beginning, the single app. If you could elaborate a bit, what's your vision there? Do you have like fuels world and EV charging world together? Do you have loyalty integration? Just a bit curious of your vision there.
Yeah, I mean, the app that we have today, it's not the definitive app. We have a lot of things in mind. For the time being, we are focused on EV charging. We are deploying, for example, the loyalty program. We will try to have a loyalty program. For example, loyalty is something that we need to still decide whether it could be international or it's something that you need to put at local level. The app for us, it's independent from the CPO and the CSO part, but of course, take synergy about that. In the group, there will be some links with the colleagues of Fuels, but for what it concerns us, we are focused today on let's say on the basics, because we need to teach to the customers and also learn from what the customer says without adding too many things around, but there will be the time where we will reach this point. We use a lot the app to make synergy with our partners that host our chargers, for example, a supermarket chain or a retail stores, whatever. We try to exchange customer experience coupons. This is something we already do, and something where we invest a lot also in the interaction between the user and the app.
Thank you very much. We can take maybe a question now from the app. So how do you measure progress and success of expansion in every country?
Very tricky questions. It depends on the country. I mean, we cannot have the ambition of become a leading player in all the countries that I've mentioned. It would be just impossible, just crazy. So when we enter a market, we assess the competition. We assess the relationship that we already have in those countries, because of course the clearest synergy of being in more countries, that maybe you have a partner in one country that is also present in another one, or maybe we are the luckiest of having already some locations in the country because are part of the group. So when we assess the country, we give us a goal that is not a goal of number of charging stations. It's also, of course, in any business plan, there are numbers of charging stations, but this could vary. We try to target I would say the ranking of the market share of the CSO when we talk about CSO. When we talk about MSP, for us the important thing is the volumes we could reach. But I mean, our aim is to become the top X, and X could change in each of the countries where we are, and we need to be sustainable. One of the leading players, that doesn't mean number one, but means a reputable player, not just in terms of number of charging stations, but also in we count a lot I don't know how to say in English, but when you make the interviews to a customer base and they speak about yourself, this is something we want to achieve. Even if the number of charging stations will be lower, this is something we like. So we target a position that is not precise, and we go there.
Mm-hmm. I think we have time for a couple of more questions. Anybody want to speak up or forever hold your peace? No? OK, so then let's take another question from the app. Which has been the most challenging country where you have scaled, and what were the key drivers for the difficulties?
I mean, I cannot say a single country, otherwise they get offended. But
he's so diplomatic, right?
I've learned in the last months.
It's a good skill to have, diplomacy for sure.
I would say, I mean, maybe it's a diplomatic answer, but in each of the countries there are different challenges. I would say the most challenging are the ones where the competition is higher. So you can think about out of the maps that I've seen. The key drivers for the difficulties, more or less, are those ones that I've said before. I take care of business development, so of location selection together with my team. And I've seen that in some cases the key difficulty when you enter a market is really to gain the confidence of your counterparties. We have started our international program where when we were not part of a big group, so maybe we were very famous in Italy, but when we just crossed the Alps, nobody knows us. So we really needed, without any marketing investments, because you cannot invest in marketing when the market is so small and it's a B2B. So we really needed to build the trust, and we are building still the trust with reputation, and mainly reputation of people, because it's really something that we have a story to tell. So it's easier today than 5 years ago. 5 years ago would have been just stupid and impossible to go in France with no brand, with no story behind us. Today, at least, we have a story to tell. But to tell a story, you need to get there. So I think the most valuable asset we have are the people working with us that have the connections, can cross this first wall. So these maybe are the key drivers for difficulty in general. There are some countries where it's a bit more tricky.
OK, we have just about a minute left. Does anybody have a quick question in the audience? Otherwise, yep, right over there.
Hi, Katalin from OMV. I will have a question also regarding the challenges. If you will have the power to choose or decide where you will put the focus regarding developing a new country.
You mean
regardless financial topics or human resources?
Adding on top of the 12?
Yeah.
No, please not.
Or at least mention a field or a topic that you will focus on first, regardless financial, as I said.
Yeah, no, of course, the competition assessment, it's, in my opinion, more important than the market assessment, because maybe you look at the country, they have 0% of cars today, but they will come. So that's important. Of course, you assess the market potential, but it's not the critical point when you decide to enter a new country. In our opinion, the strategy more or less have been done because of the synergies we already have in the group. Even in some of the countries, it's really a new complete venture. But if we need to investigate further expansion, we would look more at competition to see if there is still the right space for us. But I hope there will be no other countries to be added in the next future.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Roberto Colicchio, thank you so much from Be Charge. Many thanks indeed.
Thank you. Grazie.